Okay, folks. So I was walking to the shop and I saw this post as I was walking along with my eyes occasionally glancing up from my phone, as I do. And I read that bit, and as you can see, I found it quite funny. So I clicked on continue reading, and I read quite a bit, and I just found it hilarious. But then I scrolled down and realised it's really quite long, and it looks like he might actually go into, some detail about why he is voting to remain, rather than, just the usual crap that I had just read. And as you can see, he got a lot of admiration for this thing, you know. So I figured I'd record myself reading the whole thing and sharing my thoughts as I go. Just, you never know, I might suddenly realise, hold on a minute, this AA Gill, he's got a point, and I might change my mind. So let's go. We all know that getting our country back means it's snorting a line of that most pernicious and debilitating little English drug, nostalgia. Yeah, because everyone loves nostalgia. It's a simple fact, it's taking you back to your younger years where life was more carefree, and also the most pernicious? Really? Anyway, it was the woman on Question Time that really did it for me. She was so familiar. There was someone like her in every queue, every coffee shop, outside every school and every parish council in the country. Middle-aged, middle-class, middle-brow, over-made up, with her national health face and weatherproof English expression of hurt righteousness. She's Britannia's mother-in-law. The camera closed in on her and she shouted, "All I want is my country back. Give me my country back." It was a heartfelt cry of distress, and the rest of the audience erupted in sympathetic applause. But I thought, back from what? Back from where? Well, surely back from EU control? Okay, or maybe at least influence? Anyway. Wanting the country back is the constant mantra of all the outies. Farage slurs it, Gove insinuates it. Of course I know what you mean, or what they mean. We all know what they mean. They mean back from Johnny Foreigner, back from the brink, back from the future, back to bosky hedges and dry stone walls and country lanes and church bells and warm beer and skittles and football rattles and cheery banter and clogs and cobbles. Back to Vickers and tarts parties and carry-on fart jokes. Back to Elgo and fudge and proper weather and herbaceous borders and cars called Morris. Back to Victoria Sponge and 22 yards to a wicket and 15 hands to a horse and 3 feet to a yard and 4 fingers in a Kit Kat. Back to gooseberries, not avocados. Back to deference and respect. To make do and mend and smiling bravely and biting your lip and suffering in silence and patronising foreigners with pity. Well, no. Apart from the obvious lefty stereotyping of people that want to get out, really what he's done there is just paint a nice picture of what Britain used to be like, I mean, that's what he's done. I mean, it's as if, respecting our culture and history is something to be frowned upon. Well, anyway. So, foreigners with pity. We all know what getting our country back means. It's sort of a line of that most pernicious and debilitating little English drug nostalgia. There's his headline, I guess. The warm, crumbly, honey-coloured collective yesterday, with its fond belief that everything was better back then. That Britain, England really, yeah, because, only nationalists want to vote leave. It's a worse place now than it was at some foggy point in the past where we achieved peak blighty. It's the knowledge that the best of us have been and gone, that nothing we can build will be as lovely as a National Trust Georgian country house. No art will be as good as a Turner. No poem as wonderful as if no writer had touched on Shakespeare or Dickens. Nothing will grow as lovely as a cottage garden. No hero greater than Nelson. No politician better than Churchill. No view more throat-cutting than the White Cliffs. And what we will never manufacture anything as great as a Rolls-Royce or Flying Scotsman again. I think you'll find that's actually not said by many people at all. That's kind of a negative opinion to have, and that's really just a bit of ad absurdum. Maybe projecting his own opinions onto the people that he's attacking. Anyway, the dream of Brexit isn't that we might be able to make a brighter, new, energetic tomorrow. It's a desire to shuffle back to a regret-curdled, inward-looking yesterday. In the Brexit fantasy, the best we can hope for is to kick out all the work-all-hours foreigners and become caretakers to our own past in this self-congratulatory island of moaning and pomposity. Seriously, so much left... anyway, sorry, I have left-wing friends, and I only recently realised that I have a political spectrum. But anyway, and if you think that an exaggeration of the Brexit position... If you think that's an exaggeration of the Brexit position, then just listen to the language they use. Yeah, and if you do think that the position of the people that want to remain is, of one of demonising and fear-mongering and, character assassinations, just listen to the language they use. Anyway, carry on. We are a nation of inventors and entrepreneurs. We want to put the great back in Britain, the great engineers, the great manufacturers... I really haven't seen those taglines much, to be fair. This is all the expression of a sentimental nostalgia. In the Brexiteers' mind's eye is the old newsreel of Donald Campbell, of John Logie Baird, with his television, Barnes Wallis, and his bouncing bong, and Robert Baden-Powell inventing Boy Scouts in his shed. All we need, their argument goes, is to be free of all humorless Germans. Yep, those Germans are humorless. And spoil sport French. Yep, the French, they are spoil sports, And all their collective liberalism and reality. Oh, yes, yeah, I'm quite liberal myself. But anyway, there is a concomitant, well, there's a word I've learnt. Hope that if we manage to back out of Europe, then we'll get back to the bowler-hatted 1950s and the Commonwealth will hold pageants, fireworks displays and beg to be back in the Queen's Empress's good books again. Then New Zealand will sacrifice 1,000 lambs, Ghana will ask if it can go back to being called the Gold Coast, and Britain will resume hand-making Land Rovers and top hats and Sheffield plate teapots. So funny. There is a reason that most of the people who want to leave the EU are old, while those who want to remain are young. It's because the young aren't infected with Bisto nostalgia. They don't recognise half the stuff I've mentioned here. They've grown up in the EU, and at worst, it's been neutral for them. I just love that, a 61-year-old Sunday Times critic, could write that paragraph. My own 16-year-old nephew reached his own decision that if he was able to vote, he would vote out. Again, this is not, so far this opinion piece is still laughable. Where am I? They've grown up in the EU and worse it's been neutral for them. Yeah, well, I don't know if neutral would be the way I view our country, really. I'm quite a like I say, I only recently got into politics sort of thing. I'm really struggling to articulate now. But anyway, the under-30s want to be part of things, not aloof from them. They're about being joined up and counted. I imagine a phrase most outies identify with is, women's liberation has gone too far. It just so happens that I happen to be a bit of an anti-feminist, if I'm honest. But anyway, everything has gone too far for them. From political correctness, well, that's gone mad, hasn't it? Yes. To health and safety and gender-neutral lavatories. I don't know about health and safety. Really, the general pop is a bit, dumb. So they kind of need some health and safety guidelines. And gender-neutral lavatories, why is that an issue? Where was I? Those oldies, they don't know if they're coming or going. What with those newfangled mobile phones and kids on Tinder and Grindr? What happened to meeting Miss Joan Hunter Dunn at the tennis club? And don't get them started on electric hand dryers or something unrecognised in the bagging area, or Indian call centres, or the impertinent computer asking for a password that has both capitals and little letters and numbers and more than 8 digits. Oh, he's such an angry man. Brexit is the fond belief that Britain is worse now than at some point in the foggy past where we achieved peak blighty. So we used that line already. Brexit is actually, quite simply, the fond belief that Britain would be better off with an exit. Hence, Brexit. Anyway, this is pretty much where I stopped reading, by the way, when I was walking to the shop, because this is where I scrolled down and realised just how long it was. We listened to the Brexit lot talk about the trade deals they're going to make with Europe after we leave, and the blithe insouciance that what they're offering instead of EU membership is a divorce where you can still have sex with your ex. Yeah, because, you know, the EU would really be mad to stop dealing with us, you know. It's not quite the same thing. Anyway, they reckon you can get out of the marriage, keep the house, not pay alimony, take the kids out of school, stop the in-laws going to the doctor, get strict with the visiting rights, but, you know, still get a shag at the weekend, and obviously see other people on the side. See, she's quite funny. Really, that's their best offer. That's the plan. To swagger into Brussels with Union Jack pants on and say, "Hello, love, you're looking nice today. Would you like some?" Yeah, again, that's exactly the way all of us outers think. When the rest of us ask how that's really going to work, leavers reply with Terry Thomas smirks that they're going to still really fancy us. Honest, they're gagging for us. Possibly not Merkel, but the bosses of Mercedes and those French vintners and cheesemakers, they can't get enough of old John Bull. Of course they're going to want to go on making the free market with two backs. The market with two, the beast. Oh, I see, yeah. We've got the decree, the sea, and sigh, whatever. Makes sense, doesn't it? Let's see what he's got to say. Have no doubt this is a divorce. It's not just business. It's not going to be all reason and goodwill. Like all divorces, leaving Europe would be ugly and mean and hurtful, and it would lead to a great deal of poisonous xenophobia and racism. At least he did define that they are two separate things. All the niggling personal prejudice that dumped, betrayed and thwarted people are prey to. And the racism and prejudice are, of course, weak points for us. The torturous renegotiation with lawyers and courts will be bitter and vengeful, because divorces always are. And just in passing, this sovereignty thing we're supposed to want back so badly, like Frodo's ring, has nothing to do with you or me. We won't notice it coming back, because we didn't notice not having it in the first place. Yeah, you know, because we didn't know that, you know, we did not have this true well, I say true democracy, it's not representative. I mean, what we have is representative democracy, but that's still a lot better than what the EU is. And I just love his idea that just, you know, because we didn't notice not having it in the first place, I just can't understand his point there. Anyway, 9 out of 10 economists say remain in the EU. So that's the subheading, I guess, from economists. You know, they deal with models and guesswork. But let's carry on. You won't wake up on June 24th and think, oh my word, my arthritis is gone. My teeth are suddenly whiter. Magically, I seem to know how to make a souffle, and I'm buffed with the power of sovereignty. This is something only politicians care about. It makes not a jot of difference to you or me if the Supreme Court is a bunch of strangely out-of-touch old gits in wigs in Westminster, or a load of strangely out-of-touch old gits wearing wigs in Luxembourg. What matters is that we have as many judges as possible on the side of personal freedom. Now, personal freedom. Do I think that's what the EU is about? No. Do I think the government is about personal freedom? No. But do I think that the UK government is replaceable, and if we vote that we could change the policies? Yes, I do. Can we change the policies of the EU? No, we can't. Personally, I see nothing about our legislators in the UK that makes me feel I can confidently give them more power. The more checks and balances politicians have, the better for the rest of us. You can't have too many wise heads and different opinions if you're really worried about red tape. By the way, it's not just a European problem. We're perfectly capable of coming up with our own rules and regulations. We have no shortage of jobs worths. Red tape may be annoying, but it's also there to protect you and my family from being lied to, poisoned and cheated. Yeah, absolutely. Red tape isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's the too much of it that causes a problem. Anyway, the first X I ever put on a voting slip was to say yes to the EU. Do you know what? I've seen a lot of people who put that X on that referendum, yes to it, however many years ago it was, and they've changed their minds since then because they're not like you. That's not really a good point to make. The first referendum was when I was 20 years old. This one will be in my week of my 62nd birthday. For nearly all my adult life, there hasn't been a day where I haven't been pleased and proud to be part of this great collective. Okay. If you ask me for my nationality, the truth is I feel more European than anything else. Okay. I am part of this culture, this European civilization. I can walk into any gallery on our continent and completely understand the images and the stories on the walls. These people are my people, and they have been for thousands of years. I can read books on subjects. We're not leaving the continent anyway. But anyway. I can read books on subjects from ancient Greece to Dark Ages, Scandinavia, from Renaissance Italy to 19th century France, and I don't need the context or the landscape explained to me. Well, aren't you lucky? Big whoop! So you know a lot of shit. The music of Europe, from its scales and its instruments to its rhythms and religion, is my music. Its instruments to its rhythms and religion is my music. Huh? Anyway, carry on. The Renaissance, the Rococo, the Romantics, the Impressionists, Gothic, Baroque, Neoclassicism, Realism, Expressionism, Futurism, Cubism, Dada, Surrealism, Postmodernism and Kitsch were all European movements and none of them belong to a single nation. Yeah, alright, cool. I still don't see how this has anything to do with why you're staying in EU. There is a reason why the Chinese are making fake Italian handbags and the Italians aren't making fake Chinese ones. This European culture, without question or argument, is the greatest, most inventive, subtle, profound, beautiful and powerful genius that was ever contrived anywhere, by anyone, and it belongs to us. You look at my day job, food. The change in food culture and pleasure has been enormous since we joined the EU, and that's no coincidence. Oh, I see. So he thinks, all these things that have belonged to us for thousands of years are since we joined the EU. What we eat, the ingredients, the recipes may come from around the world, but it is the collective to and fro of European interests, expertise and imagination that has made it also very appetising and exciting. The restaurant was a European invention, naturally. The first one in Paris was called the London Bridge. Well, I just have to trust them on that, and again, assume that it has some sort of relevance. Culture works and grows through the constant warp and weft of creators, producers, consumers, intellectuals and instinctive lovers. You can't dictate or legislate for it. You can make a place that encourages it, and you can truncate it. You can make it harder and more grudging. Cat just bit me. Sorry. Grudging. You can put up barriers and you can build walls. But why on earth would you... the cat well bit me off. Let me start that sentence again. You can make it harder and more grudging. You can put up barriers and you can build walls. But why on earth would you? This collective culture, this golden civilization grown on this continent over thousands of years, had made everything we have and everything we are. Why would you not want to be part of it? I understand that if we leave, we don't have to hand back our liberty ticket for European civilization. But why would you even think about it? In fact, the only ones who would are those old Philistine scared gits. Look at them, too frightened to join in. Okay. Yeah, no, he did not succeed in making me change my mind at all. That was not a good argument. His argument was that anyone who votes leave is, you know, ugh. Good God, you annoy me, but I love you. Anyway, this video is long enough as it is. So yeah, to summarise, it just made me bloody laugh. It's full of crap. I'm voting out for many, many reasons, and I can't even explain it. I hope that what I've said, as I've read, kind of illustrates what I mean. But yeah, I'm now going to hang up. I'm now going to stop recording and watch it back.